Hello, people. What is going on this fine Saturday evening after hours edition show? To my right is Lou. You know who he is. He's on West Ham Network. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. And we're here to talk about West Ham United chaos at the Bowl and more. Lou, how are you doing, mate?
I'm doing all right, mate. Aside from West Ham, life is okay. It's surviving as you do. But it is, like I just said to you before we come on, very briefly, it's exhausting at the minute being a West Ham fan, being a passionate West Ham fan, because there is a part of me that would like to be a casual West Ham fan where I love watching West Ham, but I just watch the games, I just support them 90 minutes, then I get on with my life. But being a fan that I am, it's, and like many others, it's you do tend to go along with the daily stuff, the daily drama, and at the minute we're a bad soap opera, and it's just become exhausting and frustrating, and I'm almost past the point of caring, about the crap that's not to do with football. But at the minute, mate, it ain't boring supporting this football club, is it? There's always something going on.
It really is, mate. It really is. Where has it gone wrong for you?
To be honest with you, I've got to give props to you, mate, because you've been saying it for a long while. You know, while I was just going Moyes out, you were going Sullivan out. And the problem has been there ever since they took over, really. And the thing is, as football fans, there's one reason why we support West Ham. That's because we love football. We love West Ham. So when things are going well on the pitch and stuff, it tends to paper over the cracks a little bit. And I think we've had a good few years under Moyes with Europe and stuff. And you know, the move to the stadium was, some people were really against it, and then there was people like me who thought, you know what, if we're going to do this and it's what they're saying it's going to be, then fair enough. You know, maybe West Ham is due a bit of a move, and you know, or not due a move, but there is something better out there for West Ham, and it'll reap its rewards. And I think ever since they turned up, they've just been bad news basically for the club overall. So the bad, what is wrong is at the top. It's strangely enough, I used to hate all three of them, but I think David Gold was the one out of all of them who had a bit more about him. I don't know any of them personally. It's just what you get. It's just that you know, he had a bit more about West Ham and history about it and stuff. But they're a toxic element of the club, and unfortunately, it's sort of seeping in everywhere. And I thought there was a shining light in Tim Stidham was going to be there, and he was going to have his moment this summer to hire the manager and get the players in. And as it turns out, I was completely wrong, and Sullivan still got his mitts in it because he's got the manager that he wanted. So it almost makes all these great players redundant. You could buy the best players in the world, but if you haven't got a manager that can get the best out of them, or coach, or however you want to put it, it's almost, you can spend 500 million to $1 billion in a summer, and it all means nothing, because if you can't get a tune out of them, what's the point? So for me, it's gone. The buck ends with Sullivan, and I think Brady gets away with a lot of it because she's not the head of the you know, the owner is Sullivan, and Brady's kind of like in the background, but she's still there. So they're pretty both just as bad. But for me, I will say, by the way, the last time I was on here, there was I read the comments after the video finished. There was a guy on there, I don't know who it was, but said that Luke seems all right, but can he get to the point rather than spending 100 words to get there? I really appreciate that, because I know exactly what I'm like, and all the feedback that anyone gives me, I'll always take on board, and I didn't take it the wrong way. So tonight, from what I've just said just now, that's the last time I'm going to drag on, because I'm going to get to my point as quickly as possible. So thanks for that feedback, by the way.
No worries at all, mate. No worries at all. I appreciate what you just said there. That last season, when I was saying about Sullivan, people were looking at me and thinking, you just don't want to say nothing bad about Moyes. Now, there's having a problem with Moyes to a point, but I think people are starting to understand what the actual geez actually did to a point, and go, you know what, you've gone from that to this, and this is a mess. This is a complete mess. Now, I'm going to break it down into stages tonight, though. Yeah, I'm going to talk about Sullivan first, then Stein, and then Lopetegui. Yeah. The issue why people are starting to see this is because nothing ever changes at West Ham. I don't know about you. Like, you go from being in that situation of being, I ain't gonna say an elite club, but we was a top club a few years ago. Whether you like the football or not, we was competing in Europe. We got to a semi-final.
Last 2 years, haven't we?
Yeah, like we got to a semi-final, and the thing is, people forget the first Europa League campaign because we got to a semi-final and lost in the semi against Frankfurt. So, and the way we lost that game was heartbreaking to say the least. Yeah, and then to come back the following year and go and win the conference, I think people forget them times to a point. With Sullivan, it's an hard one because like when people say you can't get him out of the club and everything else, I think you can, but I don't think people understand that this geezer's always going to have his mitts on West Ham, and i.e. players, managers, agents, whoever it is. Why do you think this season is sort of imploding to a point at the start?
Well, more than ever, I think this kind of might go back to the Zola era when he was. They publicly come out and said all these players have to say, "Oh, blah this, blah that," like completely undermining everything. The staff, the player was in like a middle of a relegation battle or close to it, and it was like, to do this in the open in the press, to basically to what they were trying to do. I get what they were trying to do, but they went about it completely the wrong way. Is that they were trying to get the fans on board by saying, we know it's shit, you're angry at the way it is because we're down the bottom, we're looking like we're going to get relegated. So we agree with you, fans, the players are shit, the management is shit. But realistically, that's the worst thing you could do. Sometimes you can play to the fans too much rather than keep it all in-house. So that was kind of like an inkling of what they could have been like, as it turns out, is what they are like. And I think this is just the worst case scenario of what I thought could happen this season, which is basically Sullivan, rather than going, Stein, it's all over to you, mate. Moyes is gone now. You've got no one to step in your way. Go and make West Ham a success like you did to Leverkusen. I know there's a bit scepticism of what actually happened to Leverkusen, but that's as far as I understand it. And basically he's gone, but hold on, I want my agents involved with certain players. So I want my manager that you're not going to go out and you might tell me that this manager's good, but it's going to cost me £10 million in compensation. You might tell me this player is really good, but it's going to cost me this, that, and that, and I can't get any good deals with my agents, my mates, my brown envelope mates, and whatever you want to call it. I think the first thing really is the manager situation, because and it's funny, the other day Mourinho said he wanted to go to a now, the big thing that says to me is that Sullivan isn't a West Ham fan. It's because if you're a proper West Ham fan, if you know the cult status of West Ham, the way we play football, etc., you wouldn't have hired Allardyce because he's a pragmatic manager to get us back up, right? All he wanted was the business side of it done. Right, I'm going to go for a thingy. So he's hired another pragmatic manager-ish that everyone believes he is. Lopetegui's not known for his free-flowing football. He's known for being Moyes-ish with a bit more possession, basically. So the whole thing at the start of the season is we've got a manager who's been watching us for 6 months, and he's going to do this, he's going to do that, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. And basically, I think he's had his mitts all over it. And there's too much Sullivan in this club at the start of the season and not enough Stein. That's basically,
but
again,
one thing I'm going to say on that, is that I do feel people were lied to last year a hell of a lot, in the media, in the YouTube game. I feel people were lied to when you are being told that Almiron, Slot, Alonso, all these high-end, high-class managers could possibly come to West Ham. You're building up the fan base to a point where it's not going to happen. It's simply just not going to happen. I feel that was one of the main reasons why it imploded last year to a point, and that's why the divide was so toxic, because you had a lot of people on the one side of the coin saying, well, look where we are, look where we've been. We don't want to lose this by going out. And do you really trust Sullivan to a point? on the other side of the coin, I can see their argument and what you were saying about you want to see better, right? He's got us to the standard now. Now you want to go from that standard onto the next level. Do you know what I'm saying? Like a bit like our Villa was when they got rid of Gerrard and when they got
Yeah.
Unai Emery.
Perfect scenario.
Yeah.
Scenario. And
Yeah.
you know, I think this is the thing as well, though. This is I've been kind of trying to say this throughout the summer because the Guilherme deal has got a lot of West Ham fans scratching their heads because we're not used to West Ham doing things like this, where you go out and you pay a lot of money in our mind, because to a lot of other clubs, 30 million for a youngster is not a lot of money, but for us, we don't really do that sort of thing, so we're a bit surprised by it. And suddenly we go, if it costs 30 million, that must mean that he's in for the first team. He's going to be like a Kudus or another Bowen that come in. No, it's not like that. That's what I believe Tim was trying to do, is trying to say to West Ham is that you know, the project is its long-term project. So this Guilherme is going to need 1 to 2 years maybe of growing up, and then he's going to get a chance. Because by then, Kudus might have moved on, Bowen could have even moved on, or etc. And going from there. That's just my opinion of how it works. But I think the more I think about it, the alarm bells are ringing when you sign Bowen up to a 7-year deal, saying I'm behind the project, and then you go and get a manager in on 2 years to go. You got 2 years to do this.
I agree. I called it.
I didn't quite suss it at the time because I'm just going on with it. I'm thinking Moyes. I got my wish. Moyes had got.
Yeah.
I was like, right, let's be happy. Whatever happens, whatever West Ham decide to do now, I've got to get behind. Lopetegui is my first choice, probably like my 5th choice, but he's there. There's more pros than cons about it, and who knows? Maybe he didn't. Maybe Lopetegui didn't even want any of these players. Maybe he saw these players going in and said, "I can't work with that. I can't work with this. I can't work with that." I'm not sure. You know, you got. I put it in the West Ham Network group chat last night. I said, "You look at Chris Wood right now on fire, and Fulkrug. I think him and Fulkrug are quite similar in the way they're built as footballers. I think maybe Chris Wood's got a bit more muscle about him, but you wouldn't think Chris Woods would have that capability of going on the run that he's on and being on fire as he is at the minute. And that can only really come down to the manager. The manager's in charge. When he goes, right, I'm going to get the best out of this bloke up front. I'm gonna get this team looking the best it is. Brighton's manager is doing the same thing based on the fact that the club have hired a man to do that job, and they know the consistency process they're going to put in.
Yeah, but do you feel that because of the fan unrest last year, this is the reason why it's going the way it's gone to a point? Because you can sort of say about Moyes. Now, listen, I'm not going to sit here and defend Moyes all night.
No,
I'm not. Right, I just want to say this, Lou. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and defend him all night. But it was a time for a change. But the change has to be the right change at the right time, and not. It feels like to me that West Ham have gambled with Lopetegui to a point that they've gone. You know what? He's Pellegrini-esque. He's got a good CV. He's won competitions. That's the guy. He's sitting there. Go and get him. He's free. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's tricky, man. What are you saying?
I genuinely thought that when I heard Lopetegui, I laughed because I thought this is typical Sullivan. And if it does come through, then my idea of Steiden being in charge of everything pretty much is bollocks, basically. Excuse my French. Because basically it says to me, you're going cheap again. You know this guy's desperate for a job in the Premier League. You know he's still doing it. And then to find out that he'd been talking to him for 6 months or been watching West Ham because he knew he was basically going to get the job, says it all. There was no desire to go out and get someone. But maybe there was, but he always knew there was a chance. If he doesn't find him, I'm going to go for you. So he might as well start watching this for 6 months. But it kind of along the lines of like Steiden's going, right, we've got to get behind it. So let's all sound like we're all in one big team and let's go for it. But I just think that Lopetegui, he's exotic to a level because yes, he's won the Europa League, but then to be fair, so is Moyes. Moyes has won the Conference League. He's managed Real Madrid. There are when you hear people like Guilherme talk him up, and the way he talks him up, you can't help but just sort of go, yeah, all right, fair enough, I can get behind this. This sounds all right. But alarm bells are still going, no, this is not what. It's almost like you sort of think to yourself, Sullivan hasn't understood us. if Sullivan is hiring this guy, he's not understood what West Ham fans are asking for, because he's going, okay, I'll get Moyes out and I'll get this name in here. And we're going, we don't want a name. We want someone who's actually like.
I agree with that. I agree with you 100% of that, because if this would have been a younger manager coming in, say it would have been, right, I say someone who's up and coming, just say that a Will Steele. Don't know and shoot, right?
Yeah.
Don't know and shoot me in the chat, but I'm just going to use it as an example. If we looked at Will Steele and said, right, he can come to West Ham, we have him on a 4-year deal. He's going to try and transition the way West Ham are playing. He's young, he's fresh, he's got a point to prove, he's hungry, he's got all the things that people keep saying about the players need to do. But we had this in the manager. I don't think a lot of West Ham fans would have moaned. I really don't, because they would have seen the vision of West Ham. At the minute, there's no vision at all. Like, it's just, well, I do feel it's going backwards. Like, I don't know why. I just look at it and I think you've built this up, and now you could lose this in one season, and then we start losing players, etc. I'm going to move on to Steiden, yeah, because this is where it's going to be interesting, yeah. What are you saying about him, though? Because he's starting to get a lot of heat now, yeah. Some of it I do agree with, like how you can get the midfield so wrong. Yeah, we've got no midfield. We've got a goalkeeper that we're trying to play at the back. He's no good with the ball to his feet. So why Steiden have not picked up on that? What are you saying about Steiden, mate?
I'm more 50-50 with him, not mainly because of him, but because of his situation. Because I thought that he'd come to West Ham to have more authority on everything, basically his transfers, the way things are run. And what I can't work out, what doesn't make sense to me, is the fact that he's part of the club, so he's going to know the fact that there's a chance that Lopetegui's going to come in up before Moyes actually goes. Because if we're to believe, like I keep saying, he's been watching us for 6 months, so he knows some sort of deal, right? They've all got to have had conversations where they've worked together and gone, we're going to do this way, we're going to do that way, and they've all must have all green lighted it at some point. So Lopetegui's got to know this player's coming in, and Steiden's got to go to him. I'm going to bring in this player. Can you work with him? Can you make this work? Can you make this midfield work? Yeah, I can make this midfield. No problem. Soler from totally. Rodriguez, 100%. I'm there with you. I can do it, no problem. Okay, you're not going to just. You can definitely work with all these players. Yeah, that's fine. So they must have had some sort of dialogue throughout the season. So I'm not putting it all on Steiden. I think to say that the guy that's bringing in the players is a little bit like, well, he's brought in the players to blame him. Yeah, but the fact that he's bringing the players for this guy to manage, who's been brought in by Sullivan. So realistically, to me, it all goes, Sullivan at the top is a problem because he's brought in the manager and they can't make the players play. So really, you're kind of saying is the manager's the wrong player. So if you had those same players who's brought in, but a different manager that could get a tune out of them, you have to blame the owner for bringing that manager in. That's what I'm kind of getting at. So I do find the whole shaking hands with players in the tunnel before the game strange, because I've never known a director before.
I think it's disgusting, if I'm honest, mate.
Right.
Like, I'm going to be straight with you, Lou, yeah? On that, I agree with you 100%. Yeah? Why is he in the tunnel? Why is he doing interviews with TNT?
It doesn't bother me personally, but it does feel strange.
But it just feels weird. Like, who's the Wolves technical director? No one knows. You know what I'm saying? No one sees him. So
it's all like the staff, the ghost thingy.
Yeah. Like, right, I'll tell you what it is. What I've got the bugbear with Steiden is, how can you get that midfield so wrong? Yeah. Now, him and Lopetegui are working together, right? Lopetegui's saying, right, Edson Alvarez is already here. We have Andy Irving, Soler, Paqueta, Souček, Guido Rodriguez. We have got no pace in the middle of the park whatsoever. Right, we've got no recovery pace. We've got no power from midfield. We've got a lot of enforcers in there, like your Rodriguez's, your Alvarez's, but we've got nobody who can pick the ball up and drive us up the pitch. That's the problem that I look at Stein and I think, well, what have you seen there that all of us are seeing right now, and you think that's acceptable?
Yeah, this plays into the start. This plays into the Sullivan thing because if Steiden's been given, let's say Steiden's been given 75% to 80% of the power in the in the transfer market, right? That's what I've heard a lot this week is that the Steiden's only been actually picked one or two players in the summer. Apparently, Guilherme was his pick. He went to Brazil, couldn't hardly pick anyone up, and then went and got Guilherme. And I believe that he picked. I believe that he picked someone like Soler because Soler seems like the kind of player that would suit his son. Rodriguez. I believe that. But then, what I'm kind of getting at is if you're picking a manager like Lopetegui for the reasons Sullivan has picked Lopetegui, then there's going to be another part of him that is going to go, I also want so and so to be bought because he's got the same agent. A bit like Wan-Bissaka, if you get what I mean. Or apparently Wan-Bissaka's got the same agent that Sullivan is mates with, or etc. There's a few players like that. So maybe I'm thinking is that Steiden's been given a certain amount of money and a certain amount of players to pick. Steiden's gone, right, I've got 6 to 7 players I can pick. I pick 4 players in midfield. I'm losing these players on the wing and fullback and up front. So maybe he's gone. Is it just me? I could be talking complete and utter waffle here. And if I am, fair enough. But the only thing I totally agree with you. I totally understand it. The way that the guy has been talked up in Europe with contacts, etc., is that he knows what a team needs.
And is that on us though? Also, as a fan base, because when you've got individuals blowing smoke up his arse and he hasn't done nothing, like there was people saying, and no word of a lie, this is what I heard last year, right? And on my fucking heart, he's the best thing to ever happen to West Ham, and he hadn't even done anything yet. That to me tells me that there's something drastically not right. Like, listen, I don't want to go and dig out the fan base, but our fan base can lose its mind from time to time, and we do it with players. We do it with managers, and now we're doing it with technical directors. I've just written the list out here on a notepad and pen. And I'm going to go through it with you right now. The 9 players that we signed. And we're going to sort of discuss each one individually. Right. I start off with a goalkeeper. We needed a goalkeeper to come in, right? Really, and let Fabianski go. Now, for me personally, bringing in League One West Warrington. Was that really a good move for you? Even though it don't mean much, but is it a long-term move or good one for West Ham, really?
No, but he was free, cheap, and probably had just the agent that Sullivan could work with.
Right. So that's pretty simple. The only issue I got with that goalkeeper situation is that if you're playing a style of play, and Lopetegui would have said to him about playing at the back. We've got no ball playing goalkeepers in our ranks. Like Fabianski and Ariola are both the same. So that to me is a problem on that one.
If Foderingham is of the ilk of the modern footballer ilk, you're talking playing out from the back, then he should be playing over Ariola and Fabianski, shouldn't it? Because I'm just going to say this: people might say, "Oh, but he let in loads of goals for Sheffield United." Yeah, well, we got Fabianski from a relegated Swansea, who was apparently still one of the best players in his prime when he was at West Ham. Getting relegated with Sheffield United means absolutely nothing. If he's good, get him in. We're better defenders. He might be a better player. Anyway, that's fine.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Now, the Lewis Guilherme one, it all depends on what side of the fence you sit on. If you think there's a long-term project at West Ham, Lewis Guilherme is a good signing. If you believe that there isn't a project at West Ham, and he went out and bought someone, when really we need to get our house in order at first before we go out searching for other players all around the world. That's your opinion on that. Where do you land on Guilherme for you?
I think that's completely started, but I liked the signing. I still like the signing. It's interesting. People forget this. Vinicius is one of the best players in the world, on the verge of being crowned a Ballon d'Or winner. When he first went to Real Madrid, for a similar fee like in context to what Real Madrid paid when he was in Brazil, he was crap when he turned up at Real Madrid. There's even a meme going about of Benzema saying he's playing against us, he's that bad, and now he's about to win the Ballon d'Or. So he hasn't been given a chance. I personally think that's on Lopetegui because if he needs game time, then play him in under 21s, fair enough. But then maybe he needs a loan deal. Or maybe West Ham should have signed him, kept him and then brought him over, like most clubs do. That's what they do. I think it's a good signing. I'd like to see more of him personally, actually.
So basically, I think we both agree that's a Steidlen,
all over
signing. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, Sullivan ain't paying 30 million for a Brazilian wonder kid, that's for sure.
Right, that's fair enough, and I agree with you on that. Right, Max Kilman. Now, one thing Lopetegui has done good is get Kilman, because that is a Lopetegui signing. That's not. This is not a Sullivan signing. This is not a Steiden signing. This is Lopetegui's worked with him before. Said, I want Max Kilman. Go and get me that man. I would probably say he's probably the best signing, as in like sort of coming in and the way the way he sort of hit the ground running. What are you saying on Kilman?
Yeah, I'm surprised we paid 40 million for him because I don't see us being that sort of club that wants to pay big money for a defender. 40 million is a lot of money for someone who's reaching his peak in football years. Didn't realize he was 27. But I'm not completely. I think I was for the first few games. I think I really liked him. I think lately he's starting to slip a little bit in certain things with marking and stuff. But overall, I think he's been a good signing. I think he's probably the first name on the t-shirt. Seems to be defence-wise, apart from Speedo now, Todibo. Yeah, I think he's good. I think I'm surprised he cost 40 million. And it's interesting that we say that he's the best sign out of all of them because he did cost 40 million. So really, by context of fee,
he should be, yeah.
So I think overall, that's Lopetegui and fair play because he's got a good player there. You wanted a lot for him, and he's a decent player at the price we paid. So yeah,
right. So that's the first three I've done there. League One, where's we'll probably all agree that's a Sullivan signing, cheap, yeah. Tim Steiden's got Lewis Guilherme. Lopetegui, I would probably say he's a Max Kilman. I'll go and get him. I've worked with him previous. That's what I want. Todibo, Tim Steiden, straight away. Yeah, I think Tim identified him. The only issue I've got with that is that both these centre halves can't header a ball. That's the only problem. Yeah, they're good on the ground, but are they? If balls are come flying in, are they prepared to put their face on it? I don't think they really are. They're not a Mavropanos, even though Mavropanos is not that good.
The ultimate, because Kilman's got a futsal history of futsal, hasn't he? Futsal background. They're both the ultimate new school defender because they're good with the feet, but they're not good at the art graft. That half, the old Dawson. They're no Craig Dawson, are they? So,
exactly that. So
I think Tadebo's I think Tadebo's got more about him that wise. The more he plays, more into that. But that's
So would you agree that this is a Tim Steiden signing so far?
Yeah.
Right. So Tim Steiden's brought in Lewis Guilherme and Todibo so far. Right. This is where it's going to start getting interesting there. Soler.
Right.
Right. The reason why I can't work it out with Soler, because what difference is Soler really to James Ward-Prowse?
Well, as far as I knew, because I honestly, I lived in a bit of a cloud nine when we were signing all these players. I was a bit like, I'm going to reserve judgment on any of their history, and I'm just going to wait to see what they produce for us now. But I was told a few things, and basically the first thing I told, it might not be true, but Soler played for Valencia, and he played as a versatile attacking midfielder for them. He could be box to box, he could be attacking around the wing. So Ward-Prowse for me was good at set pieces and maybe the odd pass here and there in the midfield. I think Soler to me is in the same situation as Somerville, is that he's not getting a start. He's basically, some of these players having to come on and do rescue jobs and then really built for the rescue job. And so for me, Soler will be good if he gets a proper chance, with the caveat that he might not play well under Lopetegui because Lopetegui isn't getting the tune out of a lot of these players. In my opinion, that's a side note. But yes, Soler for me deserves more.
But is that a Lopetegui signing?
Yeah, I don't know. For me, that's done.
Oh, I don't know. I
don't see Lopetegui going and finding a fringe player at PSG. I'd expect if he played in La Liga, I'd understand it more.
But wouldn't he have known about this geezer being the Spanish manager though?
He might have done. I personally think Stuyden would be. It's to me, it's more of a Stuyden signing,
Right.
Unless Lopetegui tried to get him when he was at Wolves. Because
so if we say it's a split,
I'm split.
Stuyden, yeah,
right.
So we'll say a split on that, yeah. Right, Somerville. This is where it's going to come into the Duran discussion now, yeah.
Right.
You got Somerville and Forkrug, right, who are a combined total, if I've got this right, of 42 or 45, I think it was, something like that, million between the pair of them, right? Reportedly, yeah. Right, I'll start off with Forkrug first. That's the one where Stuyden's fucked it for me, massively fucked it, because I have this argument all the time, especially on Twitter. When you are hunting down Duran and you are going for Duran, he hasn't just got out his notepad and pen in the middle of the summer and gone, right, John Duran is the guy. He must have been monitoring Duran for 6 months before he actually decided to invest his time to go in there and get him. What are you saying on the Forkrug signing? Because there's two ways to look at it with the Forkrug signing, Lou, yeah? The one hand, we haven't seen him play, really. Like, we've seen bits of him, but we haven't seen anything yet, yeah, to say it's a bad signing. Right? He's been unlucky with an injury and all. So, what are you saying on Forkrug first? Because I think we all know it's a Stuyden one.
It's a Stuyden one, but I don't think we really wanted to sign him. I think it was a bluff we tried to get with Villa.
Yeah.
We knew that Villa weren't biting. We thought we'd gone so far with the deal, we might as well go through with it because we're going to get Duran and we can use Fulkrug as the backup striker to mix up a little bit. And then when we didn't get Duran, they had to build it up as Fulkrug is the striker that we wanted. He's just played for Germany in the Euros. He's gonna come in and he's gonna be the link up man because he's kind of used to that role, big, strong sort of. He looks like one of those guys that's going to need time, and at 31 is a bit dangerous. But then players are getting older and older and playing better and better these days, so I'm not really worried about that. But I have watched a few YouTube videos. I have looked online at his history. He does tend to be a bit injury prone at various points in his career, and I think he's a bit of a coming to his prime. Got better. Like, he hasn't always been the top striker. He's been, I think the last 4 or 5 years, maybe he's been playing for. Was it Werder Bremen he was at before Dortmund?
I think so. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I'm like many of these players. I'm giving them time, like I've been giving the manager. But then I think he could also be one of those players that's a dud. But the thing about it is, and I will say this, is that if Fulkrug turns out to be a complete waste of money, I will allow that to slide because me personally, because I think if you get every signing correct, brilliant. You're some sort of genius because not everyone gets the signings right. And even Alex Ferguson has admitted that even in his while he was at Man United, he got a few signings wrong. I think you're allowed one or two. If you put 9 players in and 9 players turn out brilliantly, then that's fine. If you get one wrong, I'll let it go. Yeah, we paid average to, I think we paid more for some worse players over the years. So I'm gonna personally, that it's not even done yet. He's got cut off injury, but it is a bit of a whether he's going to be fit in the next. I always said at the time, I said this is the worst injury, and they're trying to make out it's not. But I think it's a bad one. Personally, I think he could be out for at least 6 months. Me personally.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So sorry.
Yeah. So what we'll do, we'll say that Fulkrug is a Tim Stuyden signing because he's the one who sort of pinpointed him.
Yeah.
Lopetegui, he's not a Lopetegui man. Sullivan, not at all. Crescencio Somerville. Sullivan written all over it, 100%. I don't see Tim looking at championship players. I really don't. Not when you've got the likes of Tadibo and Lewis Guilherme and everyone else. I feel this was Sullivan going, right, championship player, good championship player, Crescencio Somerville. And if you can't get Duran for the fee that you wanted, you've got Somerville and Forkrug, two's better than the price of one, if that makes sense. Yeah. Would you agree that Somerville Sullivan signing?
Only if the agent is connected. Because for me, the thing that Somerville had going for him was the fact that he was voted Championship Player of the Year.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of teams do that. They look at who's been in Teams of the Year and who's won awards. Because I think if you remember when we signed Bowen, for 20 million, 30 million when he was
25 mil, 24 mil.
Yeah, I think he was. I don't think he was the Player of the Year. I think he was up there. I think he was in the Team of the Year for Hull.
Team of the Year, yeah.
Or one of the top scorers. So they look at it. Creswell was the same thing. We signed Creswell. He was in the Championship Player of the Season, in Player of the Team of the Season. So they do that sometimes. I think maybe Sullivan looked at it and gone, you know what? He's a good player. He's got. I think actually, in my opinion, all three of them would have been on board with that because I think he's young enough. He's done it. He's shown potential. Lopetegui could have said, I can work with a young upcoming player. And I think Stuyden would have been behind that as well, considering the fact that he suits the Stuyden mould. If you get what I mean, I know he's Championship, but if you look at what he's achieving with Leeds, he's played a few times in the Premier League as well, plus scoring against Liverpool away when they were in the league. If he's got the attributes that match the Stuyden signing, I can see all three of them sign off.
Because I'll be honest with you, so far, right, when people, I'll show it to the camera. At the top there, I've got a list of all three, of Stuyden, Lopetegui, Sullivan. At the minute, he's looking 3-3-3. So it's like Sullivan's got his 3, Lopetegui's got his 3, and Stuyden's got his 3. And that's how it's sort of coming out. So I don't want to play devil's advocate or nothing when it comes to Stuyden, because I've got my opinions on him. But I think it's a collective all the way down. Yeah. And I think no one's got full control.
Before I forget, because you've made a good point there, is if it's very even, then that is kind of, I think it doesn't have to be a bad thing. I know that puts down Stuyden's impact of what he's doing in the club, but if you say that you're working with the manager, owner, and sporting director, then if they're all agreeing on, you have this player, I have that player, I have that player, and they all sign off on it. This is what I'm saying. This is the whole point of working together as a team, and this is what's getting to me lately is the fact that it's almost like as soon as shit hits the fan, everyone's going, "Oh, that wasn't me. That wasn't me."
I agree with you on that, but what I'm saying is that if you're going to go at Stuyden, you've got to go with him with facts and go with him with sort of logic. Yeah, because I've noticed, especially in this YouTube world, there's no logic to things. There's just people say a lot of things, but don't back it up with substance. I'm going to move on to the final two. Yeah. Guido Rodriguez. Yeah, I feel personally, this was. It feels like Lopetegui to me. It feels like it's a free transfer. I think Stuyden's got the man, but I think Lopetegui wanted the man, if that makes sense. Right. You know what I mean? He's Argentinian, South American style. What would you say with Guido?
I'd say it's all free again, because I'd say because
it wouldn't surprise me. I know what you're saying. Yeah,
free. Sullivan signs off on it because of his career, where he's played, etc. It suits Lopetegui, and Stuyden signs off on it based on his attributes and what he could bring to the team. I know he's been starting, but I don't think he was signed as a starter. I think he was signed as someone who could maybe cover while Alvarez was out. And then once Alvarez comes back in, he goes on the thing. And this is one of the things, this is one of the things I genuinely think that Lopetegui's a bit of a nut. I can't work the guy out. I can't.
Yeah.
Moyes, he was predictable when I got frustrated with him. And that was this bloke is a completely different. I don't know why he persists with the same players that were clearly not brought in to start, yet they start most games. I can't. So for me, Rodriguez is a little bit like. I think they should have. I think the element was to bring in Rodriguez like they brought in Tadibo. Don't bring him in straight away. Just feed him here and there They bring him as a sub. Is that if Alvarez is getting a bit knackered, but I don't think he was signed to start, to be a main starter. That's just what I get from him.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I believe he was coming in as a backup player, but somehow he's ended up in the first team. All three of them, it wouldn't surprise me. Lopetegui wanted him. Probably Steiden fucking sweet talked him, and Sullivan thought, "Yeah, I have him because he's cheap."
He was meant to go past her.
Yeah, right. So I'd probably agree with you on that. Finally, Wan-Bissaka, I think we'd all agree it has to be Sullivan. Sullivan's
It was Sullivan until I heard about the agent, and then it went, yeah.
it's 100% Sullivan, yeah. So when I look at Steiden in this sort of, and I've gone through it a bit long-winded, people, so bear with us, and we'll get to the comments in a minute, yeah. When I look at it, Steiden really has only really picked 3 players out of all them lot. Todibo, which I've got there, Luis Guilherme, and probably Carlos Soler. Yeah. Oh, and Forkrug, sorry. Yeah, Forkrug's the other one, the fourth one, sorry. So it's 4 players, yeah, who you can really say that he's picked out of the 9. The rest of them have been either split down the middle with all 3 of them, yeah, or basically Sullivan or Lopetegui, yeah. For me, to say this with Steiden is the heat that he's getting right now, is it all on him, or is it a complete collective of all of them, and all of them should be hung out to dry, yeah, especially the owner. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think I don't get Steiden really with his role at the moment, because I was under the impression that he was coming in for West Ham to have more authority. So when you start looking at the players that are brought in, personally, in a nutshell, I'd have walked. If I was Steiden, I'd have walked. Because if I'm not getting the authority that I was told I'd be getting when I turned to West Ham, then it's not the club for me. I know he's brought in his brother or something like that. So maybe once he's got here and he's been here a year under Moyes, and he's sort of thought, okay, maybe Sullivan sweet talked him to an element. I don't know. I can't see that happening, but I don't know. But I think Sullivan takes all the blame, the main chunk of blame for me. I think from now on he always will.
Yeah.
Lopetegui takes a great deal of blame, because basically he's been watching us for a long while. We knew he was getting a job. We had the Danny Dyer fucking funny video thing before it all started about, let's get West Ham back up and running and stuff like that. He was like, yeah, we've got to do it together. But he would have known, they've all known the situation. It isn't like an overnight thing. They would have all known this was coming, and they've all got a big chunk of blame. I think sort of, Steiden is someone who's more involved than I thought he would be. Right. With the shaking hands with the players in the tunnel. But what I don't like is getting to the point now where you're having Sullivan's minions in the press. Who I didn't even. It's just like watching. I didn't know that Jacob Steinberg or whoever it was involved with Sullivan. I didn't know that these people wrote on behalf of Sullivan, that they tweeted things on behalf of him. So all this stuff now is like, if it's civil war in West Ham, then it's almost like the football's a side note. Like the football's like.
I agree with you on this. I don't.
It's going to be a casualty of what's happening in the background.
Because what it is, and I'll say it quite passionately on this, right? Because obviously I'm living it. Yeah, I haven't set foot in that ground, right, since 2016. Yeah, since we moved, and I won't set foot in that ground. I love this club to death, like you, Lou. Yeah. But I can't go in there knowing that little scummy bastard's up on the top floor laughing at us. I can't. I just can't do it, because there's so much that's happened over the last 8 years where I look at him and I think, what you're doing. Even so much as the ticket prices right now, our fans are fighting to try and get the ticket prices down because people can't afford to go. It shouldn't be like that. And it's like that because he's made it like that, if that makes sense. I agree with you 100% what you just said there. 1,000%. It's outweighing the football. Like where we've been, it was such a great moment. And I don't think people will look at it back in 2-3 years' time. If West Ham are floating around mid-table for the next 3 years, people will look back on their moments and think, I wish we could have their moments back. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Because I remember me and you, I say this, Remember me, you having backwards and forwards on all different platforms saying about Moyes and everything, and
Yeah.
style of play and everything to a point. When you look at it right now, my fear is that we go back to the old ages of being mid-table, don't do fuck all. We might win 2 games against the big teams in a season, and that'd be it.
Yeah, but do you know what? At the minute, that would be refreshing right now for me because what it
Yeah,
would just you'd go back to being a 90-minute fan, whereas you watch the game
I agree with you on that.
and
Yeah,
that and then you go, oh, but I feel shit for a week 'cause we lost 3-0. Next week comes, we win 3-0 or whatever, and we go, oh, it's all better now because it's just the football. It's just about the football. There's no bollocks in the media. There's no like family, feud going on in the background.
mm,
It seems that as soon as these lot have come in, it's been nothing but just a drama, just a soap opera, and
yeah,
a bad one at that. And for me, like fundamentally, you don't support. If I was to phone up Talksport right now, right, the main thing they can. Who do you think you are, West Ham? Who do you think you are for wanting more than Moyes? I have not heard one person that wanted Moyes out because he wanted to be in the Champions League. It's always been about either football and the fact that he's a dreary character or whatever you want to call it, right? West Ham moved to that stadium to apparently compete with the elite. So if we are expecting more, sorry, but that's what we were promised. So if we are getting a bit demanding, we're only
right.
demanding what they told us that we were going to get. But fundamentally, as much as I've been a West Ham fan, the only thing West Ham fans have ever wanted to do is watch good football, right? Watch entertaining football. I'm not one that predominantly wants. I don't need to be entertained by goals galore and attacking football all the time. Like it's like I can understand when the manager goes defensive, and if we're good at it, fair
But I'm
enough.
going to ask you something, though, Lou. I'm going to
Okay.
ask you a question because me and you've had this.
Yeah,
Right?
no.
Smash a like on the video because it might get about to get heated, right? But me and you've had this in the past. What's more important right now, winning or looking good?
It has to be winning at the minute. It has to be winning, and this is where it becomes a double-edged sword, because it's that caveat of which is always under Moyes. Would you rather win and play badly or play well and lose? And I don't think West Ham fans are used to anything else. It seems to be that
Yeah.
it's like well, if we go attacking, we're going to lose the game. But most West Ham fans wouldn't actually mind that, providing that we got 100% from the players, and we were we thought we gave it a go today. After 5 games, we lost every game. Maybe a bit temper to flare. Go, this can't go on any longer. We need to go a bit or something. But fundamentally, I personally believe that most West Ham fans want to see a good game of football, not as in tiki taka and full place blooded passing, but just knowing that you can play 3 passes without giving the ball away, without having to.
Don't get me wrong, though, right? Because I used to have these debates last year,
I
right?
know
Right,
you
right,
in all the matters in it.
yeah, right. And my attitude's always been, I've seen West Ham play good and do nothing. Like, and when I say do nothing, I mean literally do fuck all, really, to a point. But we might beat a side in a one-off game, which we don't expect, and then we go and lose the following week to the bottom of the table team, right? That was just West Ham, right? The issue I've got was when Moyes come in, for me, no one expected West Ham to go from where they was, right? No one. If you could have asked 1,000, 10,000 people, say,
We're
what
not
do you
being managed by him anyway.
yeah,
Not
right. Yeah. So no one knew. No one knew where we was going, right? I think for me personally, the mentality changed with West Ham in regards to it wasn't about looking good and playing a style of play. Oh yeah, we look good, but we lost 3-1 today. It was a case of winning games and trying to compete to the best that you can be and go up the lead.
We did look good. Just to interrupt, we did look good under Moyes the first 2 seasons. We
Yeah.
did.
In spells, I don't know where it went wrong on that side. I will be honest, because I agree with you. I think Lingard come in.
Just to the I actually look for. I've never, apart from the Bilic year with Payet, I haven't looked forward to games that much in my life before.
Yeah.
I mean, the COVID era, even I think even mainly when the COVID, but the COVID era, Lingard after that.
Yeah.
There's a certain point where my opinion changed on them Moyes, but that's a longer story. I'm not going to go on there. But fundamentally, I love the football. When the boys turned up, I couldn't praise him enough. I thought the football was fantastic. I know it was counter-attack, but we were fucking good at it. A, we were good at defending, and B, we were good at attacking. They're both things you want to get right. We were fucking good at it. So I had no problem back then because we were doing both.
See, I agree. I just feel, I'll tell you what I believe where it went wrong was when 2 years ago, when we actually did finish 14th at the start of that season, Moyes tried to change the style of play. Yeah, he tried to a point, appease the fans and tried to, because people were getting a bit pissed off with it being a bit sort of like low block and all that. And I remember it. Yeah, he come out and we was getting banged out like quite easily in games leading up to the World Cup. Yeah, and he was lucky, boys, that the World Cup come at the time, because I think any more games towards that Christmas period, he would have been gone, right? So then when he come back from the World Cup, because obviously the World Cup was in Qatar, come back and everything else, he started going back to the old way of low block, sitting back, hitting these teams hard and fast on the break. And then he sort of saved himself to a point in the end, right? I just feel that this is the situation coming round full circle with Lopetegui. Lopetegui's come in, he's trying to do a style of play that these players just can't do at all. And basically, he's being a bit like Amwes used to be, right? And I'm going to say it, he's being fucking stubborn. Like, he's being stubborn because he knows it's not working, and you're trying to outplay opposition when you're getting done yourself. Like, do you know what I'm saying? It's like being in a boxing fight. It's like being in the boxing fight, right? You're jabbing and jabbing and jabbing, but you're leaving yourself open for a counter right hander. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying? It's just doing it.
But that's where my opinion, my whole things against Moyes started when we signed Areola permanently. And it was meant that the thing was we signed him permanently to be our new starter. Fabianski's going to take a back thing, and he's going to be the European and Cup goalkeeper. And he started the first game. I can't remember who it was against now. He started it, and I thought, nah, you're holding back here, mate. But why are you holding back? Why are you keeping the old guard in? And that was when it started for me. I didn't hate him from then, but like I don't hate him, but I didn't want him out then. It was just like something clicked in me. I was like, nah, this ain't my guy. This ain't the guy I've been. And Lopetegui is doing his own thing in a different way, where like he'll start Souček, even though Souček isn't good for that midfield. He might not work in that game. He's playing Kudus out on the left because he doesn't know where else to play him. So he's playing, I might as well play him on the left because he's the only one I want there. He won't try Somerville because he won't risk him because he won't be good enough. He keeps playing Antonio, even though Antonio is only good for 60 minutes, half an hour max, because he gets napped too much. You don't see him for the rest of the game. He's playing, certain players too. He's making subs too erratically. I think during the Tottenham game, the commentator said that he was walking around the pitch of Antonio, and Mikel was saying to him that, he said, "What's the change?" He goes, "The change in tactics and ethos for this manager is ridiculously, like, it's huge. Like to the point where it's like we're having trouble getting to grips with it because the change is so drastic." And that's fair enough. And if you tell me now that the players are behind it, they're just struggling to get to it themselves, then either something has to change, or I don't mind giving it time. If you told me, look, it's going to take a year, and then Lopetegui will sort this out after a year, but no one's got a crystal ball, so no one knows that. In a minute, you've got to just go with what's happening right now. And I think Lopetegui is, I don't even know what he is, but there are elements of him that are stubborn. I think there are elements that he's been coming out in games, in press conferences, and saying the main thing is to stay in games. So to me, that kind of tells me that he's not looking to score many goals. He's looking to do Moyes and win 1-0. When he wants to go and win 1-0, I don't know. But there seems to be an element of he is. We were told this anyway. We were told this before he got signed. He's a pragmatic manager. He's Moyes Mark II. He's a Spanish Moyes. That's what you're getting. And I'll take that on the chin if he's actually good at deploying his tactics, and we are good defensively. But at the minute, ain't working out.
But what is the? How can I put this? What's the bare minimum that he's got to do for really to have another season at West Ham? Because if I'm being honest, when people were screaming, "Get him out the door," even me, I went mad last week, literally mad, right after the Spurs game, because we all know Right, I ain't got to say it. We all know we don't like to lose against them. And
Nice.
there's losing to them, and there's losing like we did last week. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
On with him, I agree with you. I don't know what he's trying to do, Lopetegui. I really don't. Like, I don't know. Like, people are saying he's doing too much too soon. He's playing these fullbacks too further up, and we've got no recovery pace in the middle of the park. It just feels like to me, it's a fucking mess, Lou. If I'm being honest.
yeah. It does come across like that, and there's a lot of things that can be said about signing so many players in the short time. All the things that have already been said by the media and by the fans, but then there's a few. I know there's been Bournemouth fans out there that have said that look, Areola didn't work out for 10 games last season, and then suddenly Bournemouth clicked, and they're playing a lot better. They're maybe not the finished article like they thought it would be, but they're playing a lot better than they were when they first started. And there's this. I think everyone's going right. In one game it will click. In one game we'll see what he's trying to do. In one game we'll see all the players playing at their best. But at the moment, and this, I hold my hands up, and I'll say this one thing: there's at least 3 or 4 players, big players in this team that look better under Moyes in a crap system than they do under Lopetegui in a potentially better system. But
I completely agree.
The only game we really looked good in Ipswich game because they played. They were awful that day. Like I would be a lot better than they were, considering they've got some good results and playing quite well. Kudus isn't a left winger. We keep playing him there. Paqueta's got. I know he's got the investigation going on, but he had that going under Moyes as well, when he still looked a better player than he does now. Antonio's trying his best, but I think, as we all said, I think, do you know what? I think that killed a lot of it, not getting Duran. I think Duran killed a lot of things, because I think he could have been an influence on the team more than Antonio and Fulkrug could have been. And I think the fact that we were so close to getting him.
He's got an attitude. What it is, he's got that attitude and all that sometimes you need.
He's got the raw. He's a sponge.
Yeah.
He can. I think that he got pissed off the other night. We got taken off, which doesn't really make sense to me, because you would know that Watkins plays. You don't play Watkins does.
Yeah.
Which is thing. But I think there comes moments in time when either you do get a player or you don't get a player. And for me, Bilic was a good manager, but he was made to look better because of Payet. That was a thing that came in, and he changed the whole game for him. Once he went out, Bilic lost all I think power at West Ham. And I think if Lopetegui got Duran, I know that I've been saying that Lopetegui can't get the best out of these players, but there's certain points where when you sign certain players and they make the team, stick like glue, or they're the final cog in the piece, and they make the machine work. I think when you're so close to buying him, and the club go, "This is the man we want," and you don't get him, and you go, "Shit, what do we do now?" And suddenly you haven't got the striker. Basically, all these players were signed, and you're thinking that the star at the top of the tree was going to be Duran. He was going to link all this together. He was the main player that we didn't go after in the summer. We didn't get him. And
isn't that on Steiden to a point?
No,
because the reason why I say this, Lou, right? When Steiden come in, what was it? 2 years ago? It was 2 years ago, wasn't it? He come in. The first person in that boardroom that they would have turned around and said is, "We need you to find us a centre forward at West Ham." Yeah, straight away. I don't think anyone else comes close. Yeah, I think when you've got a poor record of strikers at West Ham, and Sullivan's signed so many, and there's so many have been shit and gone for peanuts, I would have assumed. Yeah, I'm assuming this. So I've got no sources. The only sources I've got is in that cupboard over there, right? But I'm assuming this. Surely they would have sat round the fucking table and turned around and said, "Right, Tim, we need you to go out and find us a centre forward, maybe even 2, right?" And to come out and not have one, to a point, and go for a man who, it's an hard one with Fulkrug, because we don't know. That's the problem. We generally don't know. If he comes back, he might score and then kick into gear, and then we're all looking like fucking idiots. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So we just don't know with Fulkrug yet. Yeah, he's got to play 10 games straight. Really, not a game and then out for 2. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for me, when it comes to that, that is like, you know,
But he identified him, and the problem is we didn't pay the 5 million more than they were asking. But they were playing hardball, and Sullivan didn't like it. So he's gone, right, I ain't paying that. And he's going, right, you know what, if you're not paying it, you're not having him. So I bring up the only person you can, if it's down to funds, surely that's down to Sullivan only, because he's the one with the checkbook.
I suppose, but in life,
he's probably thinking to himself, well, look, I've already paid 30 million for your Brazilian wonder kid. I've just paid 40 million for Kilman.
True, I know what you're saying here, yeah.
Also, Sullivan's probably gone to him, look, our most successful strikers in the last 10 years have been two wingers, basically, Arnautovic and Antonio. So if you can't get a striker, well, you can go out and get a winger, because it turns out wingers ain't too bad in this team, and we get more out of them than we do strikers. So for me, it says more about Sullivan holding the money back and going, because there is a part of it that goes, Steiden or Jalopete could have walked in there and gone, if you don't get this guy in, this team's going to suffer, because this team needs an athletic, young, up-and-coming forward, and Duran fits that bill. You don't get him in, we're fucked. This team can't operate without a striker. Because when you look at it now, I kind of get the impression that Antonio is the hold-up player, and Kudus and Bowen are meant to be the attacking wingers that go in and
inside forwards.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. And they're not being able to do it because, for whatever reason, this high press isn't working. We're getting cut through too easily, and it all goes to shit. The idea, I watched a video on YouTube before the season started from a non-West Ham. It was just a football YouTube, and it studied how West Ham are going to play. You might have seen it yourself. But basically, they were looking at the pre-season games that we played, and they could tell from the start that basically the idea is that we high press, and we don't let them go through the middle. We let them go through the width. But the idea is the whole reason why Wan-Bissaka has been signed is because once the ball goes over the defence and it's a one-on-one situation or the like, Wan-Bissaka is technically, statistically, the fastest and best one-on-one tackler against any Premier League forward in a league. So basically, the idea, he was signed to be a covering defender, so that the high press can work because he's in, and then we basically high press with Antonio, with what would have been Duran, Bowen, Kudus, and all going together as a team. And basically, none of the positives have worked, and all of the worst parts of that have worked. But we've been a failure. It's failed at the moment.
But is it on? Right, and I'm not defending Lopetegui, because I do think Lopetegui's out of his depth. But if Lopetegui hasn't got the players that he needs for a system that he's trying to do, and he's got Wan-Bissaka bombing forward, which I can't work out, I'm not going to lie. What you just said is pretty spot on there, because I've heard that. I've seen something similar to that, where he's the best one-on-one defender. He can get back, and he's got recovery pace to get back and stop stuff. But the problem is, we've got nothing in the midfield that can get back either. You know what I'm saying? So
Alvarez against Chelsea was an absolute joke, because he did
exactly that. So with Lopetegui, before we come to sort of Man United, where do we go with him? Because is he in a no-win situation though, to a point?
No, I think if he turns it around and he gets a few wins, it all looks better around him. I think that the trouble is if his critics all being proved right every weekend. That's the thing. Everyone that said don't, the Talk Sport lot who said don't get rid of Moyes, they're being proved right. Everyone that said don't do what we're doing has been proved right. I kind of, out of spite, want him to stay because he's a Sullivan signing. So this is anything that happens is down to you, because he's brought him in. But I don't want to. I'm not Lopetegui, and I wrote an article for West Ham. I actually left out a few points on that as well. I just kicked myself after I posted it. But basically, I'm not Lopetegui out because I haven't got the energy to be Lopetegui out. I spent so long being exhausted by David Moyes that I can't really have it in myself to go again. This guy's not working. Get him out. Get someone new in. Because
the only thing I'm going to say to interrupt you there, and don't take it the wrong way, because me and you've done shows for years, but you got to hold this though, bruv. Because when people are crying out for change, not just you, I mean as an overall collective, when people cry out for change and keep going, we want change, get him out. When you get the new man in and the new man isn't cutting it, you've got to have the same energy, mate. You like,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
but I'm this like if you let me finish, I'd be right. I know where you're coming from.
Yeah,
I know exactly where you're coming from. But let me
yeah,
finish. Give you my point. Right. First of all, I believed if Moyes went, Stuyden would bring in the manager. So that's the first. That was what my. If you'd have told me Sullivan's in charge of the next guy coming in, I'd been like, no, I'm not having it. No, Moyes can stay because there's no point.
would you though? I just want to say this quickly, but would you have accepted it if it was Sullivan though? Like if there was Moyes leaving,
My next point is what
yeah,
I'm about,
go.
is about to
I'll
make.
shut up.
No, it's fine. But I'm saying I don't now that I know that Sullivan still has that power because
Yeah,
Stuyden's got fuck all. As far if you're going to hire Lopetegui when it's by, I don't have any faith that if Lopetegui does go, Sullivan brings anyone better in. And this is the only thing this the only thing is you can say Lopetegui all you want. We could lose all the games, if like that. If Sullivan is in charge of bringing in the next manager after Lopetegui, he ain't. I've got zero faith that it's going to be any good. If he suddenly went, do you know what? Got rid of Moyes and Lopetegui ain't working out. So Timmy boy, over to you, son. You give it your best shot. I'd be a lot more like, okay, finally the guy's getting his chance to bring in the manager to do it. Because
yeah,
I've got a lot more faith in Stuyden, maybe naively, but a lot more faith in Stuyden than I do Sullivan, based on the fucking 14 years, whatever he's been at the club. So I'm not Lopetegui out. I'm not Lopetegui in because I think it's teetering on that thing of like this is
yeah.
bigger than basically all this is bigger than Lopetegui. Clearly, all this
I
is
agree
bigger
with
than Lopetegui because if it's Sullivan versus Stuyden, he ain't got a fucking chance. The bloke could win 3 games in a row, and the supporters might like him, and Sullivan's feeling like a Cheshire cat grinning from ear to ear. But there's going to be something on Stuyden in the next month that he doesn't like. So there's a civil war going on at West Ham, and
you.
no one's going to win. The only one that could win out of all of it is Sullivan because he owns the club, so he's in charge of the hiring and firing. He could get rid of Stuyden. He could sign players based on all the agents and mates that he's got. We could basically be back to Upton Park days, or if you want, when we first moved to London Stadium and he signed all the duds and the free agents from across Europe. So at the minute, Lopetegui might as well stay because I ain't got a fucking clue we're going to get in next, and they're probably going to be another waste of time, to be honest.
See, I agree with you. I really do. Because it's okay screaming out Lopetegui, don't get me wrong. And I was doing it the other week and I thought about it and I thought, Jay, what the fuck are you saying? You're screaming Lopetegui out. Yeah, you get him out. Sullivan's still going to pick the next fucking manager. So like, what you saying about it?
Yeah.
It's just a mess. It's just a mess. The issue is, and there's only one issue at West Ham that I always say, and I've always said it ever since I've done E20. Sullivan will always be the problem. He always will be. And honestly, I'm actually glad people are starting to look up at the top of the mountain. Yeah, because I was saying it for fucking time. Kane, who's in the chat there, was with me. We were saying it for ages. We were saying, come on, please take your mind away from the manager and look who's running the show. Yeah. And like you say, Sullivan will always have the last say because the fact of the matter is, one, he never likes to be shamed in the media. This is a man, and shout out to Will, who put this out there earlier, right? This is a man who literally rung up Talk Sport 24 hours after our cup victory and sold Declan Rice on national radio. That's how much of a fucking cunt this geezer is. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, I've got no time. I've never got no time for him. I don't blame any fan or any YouTube channel that is putting out about Sullivan. I really don't, because it's about time. It's about time. Like, maybe people were right about Moyes, yeah, and like he's at his ceiling. People have got to feel the same with Sullivan, because Sullivan should be thrown out of the fucking gaff. Do you know what I'm saying? So
We
yeah,
did. We've been thrown out as soon as we moved, just based on the move itself. Nothing to do with players. Forget the players. If you're spending years talking up the move, and then
yeah,
it's nothing like just to epitomise how bad the move has been. If you like the stadium, I'm not going to have a go. If you like the stadium and you enjoy it, you enjoy your day
yeah.
out. You might even take your kids down there and they enjoy it. Fair play to you. I'm actually happy that you can like the stadium, that someone can see past all the crap and they enjoy their day out, and it's better for you. It's better for you than Upton Park was, etc. Good luck to you. I'm not patronising. I'm genuinely happy for you. But when you've got a fucking pub garden in the stadium that no one is even allowed into until after the game's finished, when the stewards kick you out because they want to go home as well on their £10 an hour shift or whatever it is, then it's reached the level. It's an eyesore. I don't think I don't know. You haven't been in there, right? I'll send you. I've got my phone. I took a picture of it. Right, it is the most out of place.
I'll tell you what it is, though. Right, I have heard that. There's a few things that I can't accept as a West Ham fan in that ground. The first thing, the key thing, and the most important thing of all is having rival fans wearing rival tops in the home end. Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool. Right, whether they're young kids or not, you're there to support West Ham United. You're not there to sort of watch a game of football. Now, is it on them? It ain't. And I'll tell you who it's on. It's on Sullivan making West Ham a franchise. When you put West Ham United London underneath the fucking thing, like you've made West Ham into a franchise now, and you've made it basically globalized it as West Ham London. Look at that stadium and all that, and all the LS is. And I'll be real. And fucking Ricky, shout out to Ricky. Look, exactly what I was just about to say. It's a tourist attraction. 100%.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And unfortunately, our beloved West Ham has turned into the worst example of what modern football can be.
Completely agree, mate.
Rented, not up to standards, not a very well run. I hate because I'm not against stewarding. Don't be wrong, but every time I go there, I always feel like it's that people that don't. When you were West Ham Upton Park, the stewards knew the game. The steward, you got on with the stewards. There was a bit of a camaraderie between steward and man, and it was even like regular stewards and stuff like that. Now it's like you've got day workers, for example, who they're just there to do their job, and realistically, the people who run the stewarding don't understand football fans. Right, so they're more than happy to let in, and that's not on them. They're doing their job. Fair play, they're doing their job. But it's more on the fact that because we don't own that stadium, we're not in charge of things like that. So that comes back to bite us on the arse. Because when they see an opposition fan walk in, they're not going to think twice. Going, hey, they shouldn't be here. They're going to go, okay, it's a fan come to enjoy his day, come to enjoy football. All the best, and hope he has a great time. Whereas really, it's the most fucking naive thing in the world. But then you get a load of things on social media said that this guy. Once I think I've seen it. Once or twice, there was behind me if it was a Liverpool game, and with 3-2 where we it was a great night, one of the best nights at London. So give him that he has had a fair share of good nights. But there was 2 Liverpool fans about 5 rows up from where me and brother was sitting, and they cheered after Alexander Arnold scored his free kick to make it 1-1. I didn't realise that until I turned around, and there was about 10 blokes kicking the shit out of them. Because they were like going. I think they were German fans because they were saying this is my first. I'm from Germany. This is my first time watching a Premier League game. And we're like, don't give a shit. Out you go, mate. It was blokes. I think they were even blokes. I'm not saying it's right, but that's what causes that animosity between. What it
is though. I've heard that before. Yeah, I remember having a debate with. Shout out to Charlie Walsh. Me and Charlie Walsh disagreed on it. He said people are allowed to go there and watch a game of football. My argument is they can go there and watch a game of football, but watch it in the away end. Like, at the end of the day, one, you're stopping a home fan from probably getting a ticket because you're away fan in the home end. 2, I don't think it's right on a sort of personal and I don't think it's right to see young kids.
Tribalism, isn't it?
Yeah, seeing the violence that could happen in the home end. Because of that,
and I've seen kids in floods of tears because of it.
Yeah, and the thing is, the final thing on that is basically someone could end up getting killed. Like someone could get hurt, really get hurt.
Yeah, 100%. It's the thing. I don't know how it works in the rest of the world, but I get this impression that the Premier League is sold to overseas fans like a nice day out. Go like here's a ticket to whatever game you want to go.
It's like an NFL game. That's how it's sold.
Yeah. Like come. Because apparently NFL. I did wonder this actually because obviously we get games, NFL games played over here in London, And apparently the NFL fans don't have a problem with it at all. I've no idea what the difference is between their tribalism over there, whether some hardcore fans don't like it and it's day trippers that don't mind it. I don't know, but what the impression I get is that don't get me wrong as well. I know people who are overseas who are massive West Ham fans and they love they've got their love from West Ham, not from going to Upton Park, but from watching it on TV overseas, and all they want to do is come over and watch a Premier League game because they've seen it, watch a West Ham game, and I'm not putting them fans down. I'm not even putting overseas tourist fans coming and watching a game, but there is that kind of thing that the people who are selling them the tickets don't understand the situation, and it's like it's fine. How can I put this? I'm not sure if I have to word it actually. I'm trying to think because it's for their eyes. Like I'm not the type. I'll be honest. I'm not going to turn around and kick a bloke out if he's come to watch a game of football and just talk about himself. I wouldn't get angry. I'd like, okay, look, fair enough. He's come to watch a game of football, but it's more the fact that I think that if they like you said, the point you make, if you're an opposition fan and you're celebrating in your face, if you just scored against you, that's going to piss you off.
Especially if you're paying a lot of money to be in there. There's people who can't afford to go there because the owners done all that. The issue, I was going to say something to you then in regards of I get it. I look at Lucas, for example, who's on this channel. Yeah, American fan, comes over, spends a lot of money when he goes over there. See, I don't begrudge that. Like a fan who's a West Ham fan being there. Like Lucas, people get told basically he's not a real West Ham fan because he's from a fucking America. To me, if that geezer's up at 7:30 in the fucking morning, comes over and spends thousands upon thousands of pounds going up and down the land, I'm gonna be straight. He's a fucking West Ham fan through and through. Like for me, do you know what I'm saying? I just feel with the stadium and everything, it all goes back to the owner again. But we could speak about that all night. Tomorrow, Lou, to round this up, what are you saying about Manchester United, mate?
Well, it's funny. We've been talking for the last 1 hour 17 minutes about how bad it is West Ham in a minute, and I've got this weird feeling we're going to win.
I know.
I don't know where it's come from. I think it's because last season we beat them, and we just lost in the League Cup to Liverpool. And basically Moyes threw it and said, I'd rather win the Man United game. And he did. And fair play to him, worked. Because I'm not happy about it, but his plan worked. They're not in a much better space than us, even though I don't think any Man United managers really pulled up trees since Ferguson. Mourinho kind of got there a little bit, but didn't really. United died when Fergie left. Basically, their whole level of they're an average club that makes Europe now. Like compared to what they were, their dominance is over now. So United is still a big name in the league and across the world. So of course they're going to come as a big name club, but their manager is in the same position or even worse than Lopetegui's in a minute because he's a club that expects more when really their dominance doesn't really deserve it. They haven't really. When was the last time they won a trophy? I think they beat Newcastle in the League Cup, didn't they? Last season.
FA Cup last year they won, didn't they?
Man United go after. That's not what their whole season will be doing. So it's being called the whoever loses their job game. A bit like it was with Moyes and Lampard. It was a few years back with Everton and West Ham or whatever. So I don't see them as being the dominant Man United that people in their head kind of have. They're in sort of a here and there form at the minute. They've on their day they can beat anyone, I'm sure, with the players they've got. But so can we on our day. It just happens to be if it's your day, it's your day. But I think that it's one of those games where we're going to turn up. We're going to turn up for some reason because it's Man United at home. The atmosphere is probably going to be quite good, and we're going to win. I'm not sure how the game's going to go, but I've just got this feeling we're going to win. We're going to. That's how confident I am. Weird. Don't ask me why, but
it wouldn't surprise me. I done a preview the other day with the boys, and I just feel this has got a Man United 1-0 written all over it. Both teams shit. They will score, and then they will probably see it out. But as the game draws closer, I don't know why. I just got a feeling West Ham might do something. I think having 7 days to prepare for this game, yeah, and get ready for this game, 8 days, in fact,
Yeah,
to get prepared for this game. Manchester United playing on Thursday night in Turkey, in a sort of game over there. It does weigh up that West Ham could, like, it sets up for West Ham to try and do something in this game. The issue is with this game is if he gets done again, like, because he's been done quite a few times this year against good sides, and for how shit United have been, they are a good side. Like, they can be a good side if they want to be. Do you know what I'm saying? Um, is it all about the performance tomorrow, and basically making sure we don't lose?
Well, since you started this, or whenever it was, I said that winning is the most important thing now because of the situation we're in. Unfortunately for me, when the season started, I just wanted to see some good football. So I
Yeah.
can't. I haven't seen that, and I haven't seen results. So I'm getting double shit in a minute. I think with Kudus out, Summerville will probably play, and that'd be a good, finally a good chance for him to show what he's got. I'm hoping he has a good game tomorrow. But I think this is like a boy situation. It's like, yes, we need the points, but we also want to play well. And I can't really decide which one is the two, because I think that people keep saying it, much like myself, is that you need to see what Lopetegui's ideas are. You need to see what style of play we're going to have. Where's the ideas come from? So if we sneak a 1-0 win, yeah, great. But what happens at the next game? Is that another must win? Is it the next 3 games is must win?
I know what you're saying now. I get that. So in the next 3 games, we've got United, Forest away, which is going to be tough. I watched them last night. It was okay.
We're losing that game. Sorry, Chris would actually.
Yeah. And then we've got Everton, right? So in them 3 games that we've got coming up, how many points should Lopetegui be aiming for, realistically?
I'd say Everton lost tonight, didn't they?
Everton lost 1-0 tonight, yeah.
Yeah, so I reckon 3 points. No, maybe we're home to Everton.
Yes, correct.
Right, so maybe 4, possibly 6. Beat United tomorrow. It's not guaranteed, but I just got a good feeling about it, so I have to go with it. Lose to Forest, and then
it's 1-0. They're saying it was 1-0.
Is it 1-0? I apologise. So I didn't see the end of the game. I was doing something else. I was getting ready for this.
It was 1-0, yeah, and 94th minute better equaliser. Fair enough.
Fair play. They got a draw out of it. So yeah, so maybe they're better than they play well tonight as well. It's quite an even game. So they're not. Sean Dyche is. I'm a fan of Sean Dyche, but I'm not saying I'm particularly to manage West Ham, but I think he's done a good job at Everton. And I think that they're a better team than most people make them out to be. Got some good players in there as well. So I don't think that's a guaranteed win. So I'd say beat Man United, lose to Forest, and then beat Fulham at Everton. So 4 to 6 points. 4 or 6 points.
Yeah. I think
he has to get 9. But you ain't going to get 9. That's what I'm saying.
I think tomorrow's game sets it up for the next 2. If West Ham can win against Manchester United, then the next 2 games you can have a sort of refresh to a point. Go to Forest, don't lose that one, beat Everton at home, and then you've got 7 points. Do you know what I mean? From nowhere, like if you end up beating Man United, so
it all changes, doesn't it?
It can change. Give me your prediction for tomorrow, mate, before we get some questions and wrap this up.
I'll say 2-1. Mainly because I can never really see us getting a clean sheet. I'm a West Ham fan. I'm used to disappointment. So, especially the way Ariola's playing them, bless him. I don't agree with the Ariola hate, by the way. Personally, I think he's good at what he does, but he's been asked to do something he's not very good at, and that never helps a player's confidence. So, get behind him tomorrow is what I'm saying. That's me telling you to do that. So do it. All right. Yeah. So 2-1. I think Somerville, because he's starting, he'll take the most out of his. Make most of his chance, and then Bowen will get a goal because he's always got it in him to have a goal. So 2-1 tomorrow.
With the Areola thing, I understand what you're saying, but is it because like Lopetegui's making him fucking like that to a point where he's passing out the back? And Because even against Spurs the other day, he looked shaky
I
as
don't
fuck.
know. He has. Sorry to interrupt you a little bit, but I've had this chat a few on the West Ham Network. Is that he was realistically he was relied upon by Moyes last season because he saved so many shots because we were so defensive. So he's clearly a very good shot stopper. But what's happened is now because we're not playing so deep, he's more exposed, and potentially he's more exposed as not being the goalkeeper we all thought he was because all he had to do last season was just save the shot.
Yeah.
That's it. That's your one job. Don't worry about kicking it out. Don't worry about any of that. Just save it. Now he's being asked to do a more modern football job, and he's maybe not built for it. You're not a shit if you're on the books of PSG and Real Madrid. In my opinion, you have to even get in the door there and stay there for a while. You might not be a first team player, but this to still take you on to an extent. You're not a shit goalkeeper. The trouble is now. And I'm at some point, I think maybe the next international break, I'm going to do a video on my own on the network about it because football has changed now to be a total football community. Basically, everyone has to play the same way. Goalkeepers now are players, whether people like it or not. They've got to play out from the back. Some can't do it. Some can do it. Some are better playing with their feet than they are with their gloves. That's the. I think Areola is a bit of an old school goalkeeper that just likes to save the ball. If he's given time, he might be able to do it, but I don't trust that he is. So I think he's being asked to do a job that he's not either used to, not good at, or he needs more time to improve. And I'm not sure he's going to get that. And people are saying get Fabianski and get Fabianski. Fabianski's just as bad. If you've ever seen Fabianski kick a ball, he's just as bad with his kicking. He gets beaten at his near post just as bad. He's very good at saving shots. Very good shot stopper. That's what he's been like at West Ham. He's surprising with some of the shots he saved, but it's not like he's going to come in and change our whole defence because of how good he is. Because realistically, we've got two very similar goalkeepers, and one of them isn't on form in a minute. I think that's because he's been asked to do a different job.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Scott says here, yeah. I just think we can't wait till Jan to change the manager. If we lose the next 3 games, as being told, Lock will have until the new year, basically. If they do give him to the new year, like, what does that really tell? Like, is it? How can I put this? Is it too rash to sack him in the next 3, or is it the right time to let him go after Christmas? Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, he's not going to go because that's Sullivan admitting defeat. And Sullivan's not very good at the whole pride thing because he's not very good at that. It's only a good decision no matter what happens if you get the right replacement in. It doesn't matter who you sack, doesn't matter who you hire.
See, whoever we do get, it's going to be a.
I said I said it on Twitter, I said it on Facebook that once Mourinho said what he said, I said Mourinho is almost the perfect Sullivan signing because he'd be free. He'd only want a short deal. He's pragmatic, which means that he's all about the result, not about the football, and he's a big name. So basically, you could sell him to people who want a big name. Maybe like, I don't know, maybe the fans that want the Hollywood and glitz and glamour at West Ham or something like that. But he would be the perfect. Like now, at the minute, I genuinely think if Mourinho is being true about what he's saying about taking the team that's down the bottom, it wouldn't surprise me if Sullivan's just like, Loppy, just keep us above water, mate. Just keep it for a couple of years, and then I'll get Jose in. Just keep us there. Nice little cup run maybe, but just keep us there, mate. And then 17th for 2 years will do me, and then we'll get Mourinho in for 3 years. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
What do you think of that? Before we come to the end, obviously he was linked with us, wasn't he? Like he's been linked with us over the last 72 hours. Mourinho, everyone's saying, "Oh, Mourinho." It just feels like West Ham. Do you know what does me with West Ham? What really does drives me mad is we will go out and we will spend money on players. Yeah, lots of money, like Max Kilman, Paqueta, Kudus. But we will never ever go out and spend the money on the manager. Not once.
I said it in a network group chat. As you can tell, as I've been saying, we've had a lot of chats this week.
Yeah.
I can understand it, even from a non-West Ham point. I can understand not spending money on the manager. I'll tell you the reason why. When it comes to a player, and you said you spend money on them, you can kind of sell them for a profit. It's not profit. You can kind of sell them for some sort of money, right?
Yeah.
If you sign a 3-year deal and in a year and a half they don't pay off, you can maybe sell them for half what you pay for. So you're not getting the money back. With a manager, it's different because you're saying the manager is the hub. He has to make all those bought players work. And if you get rid of him, you got to pay him off probably more money than you signed him for, or signing fee, whatever they sign when they come to the club. And then also, it's easier to get rid of a manager than it is a player. So you can go and spend a load of money on players and go, if it doesn't work out, I can sell him for some sort of fee. Unless they go on a Bosman, it's different. But most of the time, players get sold. They're bought for 8 million, they're sold for 3 million. But at least you've got some sort of money or back off it. And this is me being a bit uneducated on football finances. But what I'm saying is that if you've gone out and it's easier to see, it's like they always say, it's easier to sack one man than it is to sack 11. So what I'm saying is that it would be good to invest and fine, but you kind of, if you're investing in a manager, you have to get the best. The manager has to be right. You can't go out and spend like Villa went out and got Emery from Villa, and as far as I know, they paid quite a bit for Emery. They just thought, no, we want you. You're the man.
But isn't that an ambitious move though? Luke? Like if you're because basically otherwise you're just going to go with managers that's failed at other clubs. Like,
but this is the thing with football. I think football will move into it eventually, but at the minute, managers aren't looked at as that important. Like to an extent where you're paying money for me, I think that there seems to be a different entity. It's like managers aren't even managers. They're if you look at the Brighton and Brentford model, like Brighton's manager is one of like 10 they could have hired. They just happen to have hired him because they've got the stats built up. They know who they want to go for, and they go for him. So, like the way football works now is that the head coach is almost like managers used to be a big name, didn't they? Like Ferguson, Mourinho, Wenger. There used to be a name. There was a name to go with the club. It was almost like a stalwart. They'd stay there for years and years and years. Now it's like the coach is almost like it's part of the team. Like they're less of a name. So when you go out and invest, you're investing in a whole staff. You're investing in the coaching, a whole coaching system. It just happens to be that you've got a head coach called so-and-so to go and do that. And it's something that I've always this is something that I don't think people actually realise how big the assistant, how important the assistant, because Ferguson come out himself and he said, I used to change my assistant manager about every so many years because I wanted someone in my ear telling me something different. And I think Kevin Nolan's come out in the recent West Ham Fan TV, and he was talking about when Moyes was asking him to come back. And Moyes was saying, yeah, we might need you, we might not. We lost the game. He went, no, we need you. Can you come in now? And it's fine getting a manager in, but it's also about the staff as well, because the assistant is just as important as the manager. So I think it is an ambitious move. There's a lot more to it. And I can understand why clubs don't go out and spend 10, 20 million on their manager. It probably work, but like footballers sometimes, when you buy a player, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And I think that they think, well, do you know what, if we sign this manager for 10 million and he doesn't work out, who's going to buy him for X amount of money?
But is it the way I look at it is though, Lou, but is it the project though, and the plan and the way you want to go around it as a West Ham fan? Like, for instance, right, let me put it this way. If Moyes, like when Moyes was leaving, everyone would have accepted that and gone, right, fair enough, he's gone. Yeah. If we had a clean slate and turned around and said, right, we need a young up and coming manager, someone who's gonna invest in the youth, integrate the youth in. Amount of times I fucking heard that last year about integrating the youth in, and we don't integrate no fucking youth at all this year, right?
Was all jerky, didn't you, outside the ground? He was meant to bring him in. So that's another thing. That's another dream of mine. It's been crushed.
I know, right? But what I'm saying is that like I think it starts at the top. It starts at the top, right? When you're got a manager or a coach or an head coach, whatever it is, you meet the owner of the club. You're going to ask the owner, what is your expectations? What is it that you want? If I'm being honest, when I look at going into an interview room and seeing Sullivan there, I don't think Sullivan's asking for the world. I think, and that's the problem. I think he's asking basically, keep us to a standard, don't get us relegated. Because there would have been times over the years with Moyes. This is where I will say about in defence of the Moyes out a lot. There was
Right.
times when Moyes got away with murder and saved his job on the last game,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Everton at home when we won 2-0 and Bowen scored the brace. There were so many times, even Fulham away when we won 1-0 and it was actually an own goal that saved
Yeah.
the day for us. Right, I remember it all, and for me, there was times where one game saved him every time. Bang, save, save. And I think what it is, I'm gonna say I don't want to keep banging on about Sullivan because I think he's vermin the geezer. I think he's absolute scum of the universe. But if you were to take him out and have an owner really who was ambitious and said, right, this is the standard I want at West Ham. I want West Ham to be a top 10, top 8 side consistently. And if they're not doing that, we're going to take the manager out and get someone in who will do that. That is, I think every West Ham fan would be buzzing for that. I'm going to be straight. I think they'd be buzzing for that.
That was what got everyone to get behind the move, wasn't it? Because that was how they sold it. It was with West Ham, we're going to change their ethos completely. We're going to be one of the top clubs. We're going to compete with the elite. So that was what everyone thought it was going to be. That was the sold a dream, delivered a nightmare. So like I that would I. But there's also this part of me that goes. There's certain people, and I put myself in this bracket as well, right? That they don't actually know what it takes to be ambitious, because there's me sitting here going, I want to see nice football, but if you really want to be ambitious and win trophies and compete with the top, winning comes first. Fundamentally, you win first, play well after, right? That's what most winning managers say. Ferguson said it. He said it. Attack wins games, defense wins you titles. Right? That's the whole thing. And I don't know. Sullivan has never been part of a successful club. Birmingham wasn't successful under him. So winning a European trophy is great. I think he got ridiculously lucky under Moyes with cheap players willing to come back to the club after being rejected first of all for a cleaner name. I mean, I think that I think actually, in my opinion, I think that woke Sullivan up to. This is a start, by the way. Europe, being in Europe and all these European games. This is a start. This is the entry level to you being a top club. And I think maybe he thought, shit, actually, I don't want this, or I can't handle this, because there's a certain point where we're with an owner, when your team starts to build and go forward, and if you're not ready for that, if you haven't actually, if you just said you want it, but you don't know you want it, or you've never experienced that, sometimes like, fuck, there's more money, there's more expectation, there's more of a drawback, there's more, if there's failures, it's 10 times harder than if we're a mid-table team or a team battling relegation. So if we go at the top and I get it wrong even once, I'm fucked. There's the mentality thing of like, I've got to keep doing this. If my manager goes and wins the Europa League and gets us top 4 and gets headhunted by a team that's trying to win the league, then I've got to hire another manager to do that again.
Of the same standard.
Again. And how am I going to do that? Oh shit, I've got to hire this guy. I've got to hire this player. No player can come to the club unless they're worth 40+ million. I've got to do that every year. So to him, he's probably not even if he wanted to, he's not mentally capable of doing that.
See, what you just said there is fucking spot on, right? It really is. Because if you do go and hire a up and coming top manager and he gets headhunted in 18 months' time, well, that will obviously mean that West Ham's done very, very well in that 18 months for him to get touted. But then to keep the standard, you're going to have to go out and get another manager who's just as good, just as good as the previous. I'm going to get to this comment here, from Matthew. He says, you can't feel 65,000 in the stadium floating around relegation. Sullivan doesn't understand it. I'm going to be honest, Matthew. Yeah, you can now, because it's
yes.
you know exactly what I'm going to say. It's a tick list
earlier because and I've been saying this with my brother as well, is the fact that you've only got to look at the way that the Premier League mishmash games, having like Newcastle on away on Monday night. They don't give a fuck about who turns up. They just want to get the thing on the screen so that the global fans, the tourist attraction, the Premier League being the global phenomenon that it is, gets shown around the world. Because John from down the road don't go, someone else will take his ticket. It always happens, and it's not. It's always happened to an extent, but it's even more I think it's even easier to fill it now. It's even easier to fill the stand now. And there's even a lot of people now. I think they could even be genuine West Ham fans. I'm not educated on this, but this is just a wild guess that when people do, they say it's a sellout game. You sit in the ground, you can spot empty seats here and there. It's because it's been sold. They sold it to someone else for possibly more money, and then they haven't taken the seat for whatever reason. I don't know. I'm not quite clear on that, but that's the way I kind of understand it works. You've got scalp tickets or something like that. But basically, the thing. I mean, I'm one of those that when you get an email from the club prior to a game, and they say if you can't attend this game, send it back to the club. Okay, big fuck you with that, because there's no way I'm sending my ticket back to the club. It can go someone I know. But that's just me.
Guy on the left looks like he's been stress eating. Fucking hell, he supports West Ham. Fuck me. Everyone's stressed. I'll get to this final comment from Scott. Yeah, doesn't look like we're getting anywhere near the top 10. What players are going to do? We think Bowen might go as well as Kudus. Who will be off if Paqueta's not guilty? He will be gone. I think that's the fear, mate. I don't think Bowen goes, but you can't rely on his loyalty if a club comes in for him. Do you know what I'm saying?
He signed a 7-year deal, so if someone wants him, they have to pay a lot of money anyway. So he's the one player that you kind of see can't go just purely on financial reasons. At the minute, he doesn't look like he's the 7-year deal is very good at the minute, because it's like, he's not playing very well. But he's trying. I don't know. He played well against Spurs. That's harsh of me to say that. Actually, he played well against Spurs. He's just been unlucky. But you can't. We signed these players on the basis that we were in Europe at the time, and we were going to stay in Europe, and we were going to try and stay there. They're not. These players haven't signed with us to stay at mid-table and maybe have the odd cup run. They're not here for that. So they're gonna go no matter what happens. Their agents will sort them jobs at clubs, whatever. So we enjoy Kudus while he's at the club. Enjoy Paqueta if he picks up form randomly somehow. Enjoy him for what he's done for the club so far. For the assist against Bowen for the Conference League final. Enjoy it while it lasts. West Ham is a roller coaster team. We all thought once Payet joined and we finished, we moved stadiums and we were in the qualifiers and stuff, it would get better. West Ham has a way of doing this. Is going up to one level and dropping down for a while. So me personally, I never attach myself to a player emotionally. So I don't really have that thing. Lingard was great, but I always knew that it was
I think for me, the only player that I ever really got attached to, I've got attached to people in the past, to Canio, right? But recently is Rice. Because when Rice left, I did feel like West Ham might go backwards because he was that good in the middle of the park. Do you know what I mean? Have we gone backwards? I wouldn't say a 9th place finish last year was backwards, but this year is definitely, not good.
Without a trophy, because the last one was 14th with a trophy, so it was a bit here and there. Rice, I convinced myself, was leaving 2 seasons before he did, so I was all right about that one, and I was fine because we got the money. Arsenal was dodgy, but I didn't really. That wasn't my beef, to be honest with you. I thought Man City was better, but it's your own funeral if you go to Arsenal, mate. That's just what you're cooking. But Payet was. I say this for the records, even though there's a lot of bad blood with him, including myself. Thinking best player I've ever seen in my time play. He just is. He just until someone comes along that's better, he always will be. But I don't. It's their job. In the day, it's their job. They're not emotionally. They're not like us. They don't go pie and mash before a game every day. So they're not. Then Fornals did. That's why I love Fornals. That's why I loved Fornals. And he was the last player I think I got attached to, and only left because he wasn't getting game time and he fell out with Moyes. So it wasn't anything against the club, but. Yeah, I try to get attached. I try to get attached to West Ham because fucking hell, I wasn't watching games and go home again, but that ain't possible these days, is it?
See, the thing is, I remember the days of like Canio, Bishop, Michael Hughes, John Moncur, and then you had the likes of like the 1997 like recovery team in Hartson and Kitson. Like, I do remember them great days. I must admit, football was great back then. It was just football. Now
football was football, wasn't it? Football was football.
Yeah, it was. I'm so glad that I grew up in that era and see that era, like from the 90s into the noughties, and we see the likes of like Paolo one shot trying to do things for us. Fucking, do you know what I mean? And Di Canio and Sebastian Chamel and
I come in about, I think I started my West Ham journey about 2000, 2003. So I didn't see one shot, but I did see Di Canio and Canute was my first.
yeah, Canute was great,
Well,
mate.
I think my first season was the 7th place finish season. And then the second one, I kind of got more into it. We got relegated. I think my old man was just like, "This is what it's like, mate. This is what West Ham's like, mate." You know. So
I remember
one
one of the games I remember. I was in hospital, and I wasn't too well, and I basically back in the day you couldn't. It weren't like now. You can look on your phone and see what the score is. Yeah, but back in the day you couldn't. Right, I was in the hospital and I was like, "This is how much I fucking love West Ham." I waited till about fucking 11 o'clock that night. I was only about, fucking hell, what was I, 12? Right, because what it is, I was really bad with my asthma back in the day.
Right.
And, excuse me, I waited till 12 o'clock for the League Cup show, right? West Ham versus Blackburn, and we went there and won. And Hartson scored the goal. I was like, fucking, like, I think I can't remember if we won on penalties or we won in normal time, but we won. I know we won the game. And I was fucking like who needs medication? Like,
that's good. Yeah.
when West Ham do that. But yeah, I miss them days, man. I really do. Lou, thank you very much for coming on, mate. I really do appreciate it on your Saturday evening. It's been a good one. It really has.
Yeah, it has been, but I will apologise if I went back and done what I said I wouldn't do, which is waffle on and say one.
No, you're all right, mate.
The point across. So, if anyone writes in the comments after this any feedback for me, I'm always trying to improve. So if you've got bored of listening to me or got waffled on, I apologise. Just give me a feedback and I'll take it all on board. Thank you. Cheers.
No worries at all, Lou. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to E20 Zone TV. Go and follow Lou over at West Ham Network with Anton and everyone over there. Really good show tonight. Talked about quite a lot, like the owners, life at West Ham to a point, history, and we shouldn't forget our history. Do you know what I mean? That's one thing I wouldn't say. Like tomorrow, let's make some history and try and beat United again. Do you know what I'm saying? But we'll see what happens there. I'll be back tomorrow after full player ratings. Me and Lucas are down. Also, for the members, I'm going to be doing a video in about 15 minutes, maybe half hour for the members. Betting video for the Man United game and maybe a few tips for Aintree tomorrow. So, yeah, I won't let you down. If we can't win on the pitch, we will win on the racecourse track. That's all I'm going to say. So become a member and you get it there. Anyway, from me to you, take care of yourselves and above all else, each other. Peace.